In the winter of 1934, in a two-room cabin outside Logan, West Virginia, a coal miner's widow named Netty Barnes fit her whole week's supper into one iron pot on a coal stove by the light of a single kerosene lantern, and it cost her 87 cents. If you are living alone tonight and the grocery bill has gotten mean, and you are wondering how a person on a fixed check is supposed to eat like a human being anymore, I need you to hear what she did, because she has already answered the question you are asking. Netty was 61 years old. She had buried a husband and outlived 2 of her 4 sons. She had 1 pot, 1 spoon, 1 lantern, and a shelf of dried beans, cornmeal, salt pork, and whatever the neighbor's garden gave up. And for 87 cents that week, she ate twice a day, sat down to it at a set table, and never once called it poverty. She called it supper. Today, most of us couldn't put a hot meal on the table for one person under $5 if the store was on fire. But here's the twist. Before we go on, there's something coming for this country, and the news won't say a word about it till it's already on your doorstep. It comes down to one number: 3 days. That's what the stores hold for you. Your grandfather's pantry held a winter, and the difference was never money. It was knowing. 904 pages of that knowing in one book. Water, fire, curing, canning, the plants that heal and the ones that kill. SilasMercer.shop. Links below. All right, back to it. The record now says the plates Netty ate off of were better fed, better balanced, and better tasting than what somebody sold you to replace them. And they did sell you a replacement, friend. They surely did. I am Silas Mercer, 7th generation on this ridge in the Blue Ridge of Virginia, and my people settled it in the 1790s and never left. My grandfather Eli fed 8 children off this mountain through the Depression on a widow's budget, and he copied every one of these pots into a leather journal I keep on the shelf behind me. He made me swear the old ways would not die with me. This is me keeping my word. Now, some of what I am about to count down would turn a modern stomach, and some of it, a real university quietly confirmed, beats the store-bought version you are overpaying for right now. Number 6, the crock full of preserved eggs. You literally cannot legally buy out of a kitchen in most states anymore. Number 3, most folks under 40 would not touch it, and their great-grandmothers ate it twice a week. And number 9, Yale School of Public Health caught up to it in 2019. None of these disappeared because they quit tasting good, neighbor. They disappeared because somebody got rich the day you started buying dinner instead of making it. That is not on you. They are good at selling. Before we count down, tap subscribe. Not for me, because we are pulling these old pots back onto the table, and you will want the next one. 25 one-pot suppers, all under $5 for one person eating alone tonight. From 25 down to 1. And number 1 is not a dish. It is the answer. Number 25, cornmeal mush and milk in one pot. The widow up the holler stirred a cup of yellow cornmeal into 3 cups of boiling salted water in one pot. And by the time the lantern needed trimming, a whole supper had thickened for her. 5 cents of cornmeal in 1940 fed one grown person twice, morning and night, with a cup of milk poured over. Under $1.25 today. In 1946, the School Lunch Act pushed a whole generation of kids onto cold cereal breakfast, and the cornmeal pot fell off the American stove inside 10 years. Somebody at General Mills counted the box. The way it was made: rain the meal in slow, whisk hard, salt, cook 15 minutes, ladle in a bowl, splash of milk. That is it. One pot, 1 spoon, 1 nickel. Fed her twice. Now that one they only stopped teaching. The next one, they actually taxed off the shelf. Number 24, skillet beans and onions in bacon drippings. Onions sizzling in a spoon of bacon grease. A can of drained white beans slid in. Cracked pepper, 10 minutes. The smell alone would pull an old man to the table. In 1955, a 15-cent can of navy beans and a 2-cent onion fed one person full. Today, a can of beans, a yellow onion, a spoon of grease you already saved, under $2.50. In the mid-1960s, Betty Crocker's marketing arm sold the American home cook on 12-ingredient casseroles as modern, and the 2-ingredient skillet supper started looking like poverty. It was never poverty. It was efficiency. The old man used to say, onion first, always. Yellow onion, low heat until it goes see-through. Then the beans. That is the whole recipe. 2 things, 1 skillet, 10 minutes, done. That one is easy. Number 23 is one somebody put a factory around. Number 23, canned tomato and rice, 1 pot. A can of whole tomatoes broken up with the back of the spoon, a half cup of rice, a splash of water, a pinch of salt, simmered until the rice drank it all. Thick, red, warm enough to eat standing up. In 1948, a nickel can of tomatoes and 3 cents of rice fed one person for 2 meals. Today, a store-brand can and a scoop of rice from a 5-pound bag, about $1.60. In the 1970s, Del Monte and the canned food conglomerates pushed pre-seasoned Spanish rice mixes onto the shelf. 6 times the price, half the food. Way it was made: tomatoes in the pot first, mash with the spoon, rice in dry, water to cover by knuckle, lid on, low heat, 20 minutes. Do not lift the lid. A can, a cup of rice, supper, under $2. Now, number 22 is one they cut from the school books on purpose. Number 22, fried mush and molasses. Cold leftover cornmeal mush sliced into squares, laid in a hot skillet with a spoon of grease, browned on both sides, and drizzled with dark sorghum molasses. Sweet, crunchy, cheap, and it would hold a man till noon. Cornmeal at 5 cents a pound in 1940, molasses at 15 cents a jar, meant 3 cents a supper. Today, under $1. The 1946 School Lunch Act shifted American kids to institutional cafeteria food, and molasses got quietly dropped from the pantry. The sugar refiners had nothing to gain from a jar that lasted a year. University of Kentucky 2017 confirmed, stone ground cornmeal has a lower glycemic load than white flour breakfast cereal. Grandma was right, and the box was wrong. Slice, fry, drizzle, eat. That one nourished a country. Number 21, they banned it, then unbanned it, then forgot it. Number 21, kraut pot. Sauerkraut, potato, and a bit of sausage. A cup of drained sauerkraut, 1 cube potato, a 2-inch length of smoked sausage cut into coins, water to cover. 1 pot, 1 hour, and the cabin smelled like Sunday. Cabbage at 4 cents a pound in 1929. Kraut made at home for the price of salt. Today, a store jar of kraut plus 1 potato plus a nub of sausage, about $3 for 2 suppers. When General Mills and the box dinner arms won the post-war kitchen, fermented food got branded as smelly and old country, and a whole vitamin factory left the American shelf. Ohio State 2021 confirmed, live culture sauerkraut retains more vitamin C than most winter produce. The old man canned this every fall, and here is the one part you do not skip. Use a real fermenting jar with an airlock or a proven crock method. Do not seal live kraut in a warm jar on the counter. Cabbage, salt, thyme, medicine you can chew. Number 20 is one they replaced with a box that costs 8 times as much. First pattern break, friend. Here is where it stops being quaint. Every pot I just named, every single one, got replaced by something on a shelf that cost more, fed less, and made somebody a fortune. And we are only a fifth of the way in. Number 6 is coming, and number 3 is coming, and I promise you, they earn the teaser. Number 20, bread pudding pot. Stale bread torn into a pot, an egg beat into a cup of milk, a spoon of sugar, a shake of cinnamon, poured over and baked or stovetop steamed until it set. Dessert, breakfast, and supper, all in one dish. In 1955, 2 cents of stale bread, a nickel of milk, 1 egg. 8 cents fed one person twice. Today, under $1.50. In 1965, federal funding for home economics started getting cut from the school curve, and by the mid-1970s, a whole generation did not know you could turn stale bread into a meal instead of into the trash. Betty Crocker sold them a box mix instead. Way it was made? Never throw stale bread. Store it dry, use it Sunday. Old bread. 1 egg, supper, nothing wasted. Number 19 is one the supermarket killed the day it opened. Number 19, boiled cabbage and cornbread in one pot. A quartered head of cabbage laid on top of a pot of cornbread batter, poured into a hot, greased skillet, lid on, low fire, 20 minutes. Bread on the bottom, tender cabbage on top, and grease running through the whole thing. A dime a head of cabbage in 1950. A nickel of cornmeal. 1 supper for 2. Today, under $2 for 1. When A&P and the post-war chain grocers consolidated in the 1950s, they pushed white sandwich bread and iceberg lettuce as the modern plate. The cabbage and cornbread pot got branded backward, and it fell off American tables in a decade. Eli wrote this in the journal in '49. He used a 12-inch cast iron and never lifted the lid. 2 ingredients, 1 skillet, fed a family. Number 18, they put a blue box on it and charged you 6 times. Number 18, milk and cornmeal cheese pot, the real one. A quart of milk brought slow to a bare simmer. A half cup of cornmeal rained in, salt, pepper, a handful of any cheese you had grated at the end. Thick, yellow, hot enough to fog a window. In 1937, a dime of milk and 3 cents of cornmeal and a scrap of cheese fed a whole family. Today, under $3. That same year, Kraft rolled out the boxed macaroni and cheese dinner at 19 cents to feed 4. Cheaper than her real pot, sold as modern, and inside 20 years, the cornmeal and milk cheese pot was gone from American kitchens. They will tell you the box is the original. Fine. Believe that if you want. The real one was on the stove 70 years before the box. Milk, meal, cheese. Done. Number 17 is where I burned my first kettle. Number 17, skillet biscuit and sausage gravy pot. A patty of country sausage broken up in a hot skillet, a spoon of flour worked into the grease, a cup of milk poured in slow with a whisk, black pepper, Biscuits dropped right on top with a spoon, and the lid clamped down until they steamed through. The whole supper in one pan. In 1935, 10 cents of sausage, a nickel of flour, a nickel of milk fed 2 adults. Today, under $4 for one supper and a leftover. In 1928, Continental Baking put sliced Wonder Bread on the shelf, and Campbell's followed with a condensed cream of mushroom cookbook push in 1955. And between them, the drop biscuit skillet pot died on American stoves. I will be straight with you. The first time Eli tried to teach me this, I burned the flour black and turned the gravy into paste and cried at 9 years old. He laughed and made me start over. If yours breaks the first time, friend, you are exactly where I was. One pan, one supper, one lesson. Number 16 is a soup somebody put in a foil packet. Number 16, onion and potato milk soup. 3 onions sliced thin, sweated in a spoon of butter until sweet, 1 diced potato, a quart of milk, salt, pepper, simmered 30 minutes. Soft, sweet, hot, and it would put an old man to sleep before he finished the bowl. In 1950, 4 cents of onions, 3 of potato, 10 of milk, 17 cents fed one person for 2 suppers. Today, under $2. In 1957, Lipton launched dry onion soup mix in a foil envelope, and inside a decade, the real pot vanished from American kitchens. The record says the packet has more salt than a Cure barrel and a fraction of the food. Yours has 3 ingredients. Guess which one is medicine? Onion, potato, milk. Supper time. Number 15 most Americans have never even tasted. Second pattern break. Notice the pattern yet, neighbor? Every single pot got replaced by a foil packet, a blue box, a can, or a freezer tray, and every single one cost more and fed less. It is not a conspiracy, it is just how markets work. But somebody surely did get paid. Number 15, clabber and cornbread. Fresh raw milk left in a covered crock in a cool room until it soured and thickened into clabber. Soft curds, sweet tart smell, spooned over crumbled cornbread with a dust of sugar. Free if you had a cow. Under $2 today with a small carton of buttermilk substituted, which is the safe modern version. The 1924 Model Milk Ordinance and the post-war dairy consolidation ended the clabber crock in most American kitchens. You cannot legally buy raw milk in most states now, and the fermented breakfast that raised half of Appalachia went with it. Cornell Dairy Science 2016 confirmed traditional clabber carries live probiotic cultures the store-bought yogurt aisle charges $7 a cup for. Here is the safe modern version. Use full-fat cultured buttermilk over the cornbread. Do not try raw milk clabbering unless you know your source and your law. A crock, a crumble, a cup, breakfast. Number 14 is the one Procter & Gamble spent 60 years lying about. Number 14, bacon grease economy pot. Greens, grease, and water. A pot of turnip or collard greens covered in water, a heaping spoon of saved bacon grease from the tin by the stove, a shake of salt, a splash of vinegar at the end. The pot liquor alone was worth the supper. Free if the neighbor grew greens. $1.75 today. In 1911, Procter & Gamble put Crisco on the shelf and spent 60 years telling American women that the grease their mothers saved would stop their hearts. It was marketing, not medicine. Penn State confirmed in 2018 that lard and rendered fat's actual fat profile beats the hydrogenated shortening that replaced it. Nobody outlawed the tin by the stove. They just made sure you felt like a fool for keeping one. Greens, grease, pot liquor, fed. Number 13 is a piece of meat they told you was garbage. Number 13, salt, pork, and beans, 1 pot. A 2-inch cube of salt pork simmered slow with a cup of soaked navy beans, 1 chopped onion, water, black pepper, until the beans went creamy and the pork rendered into the pot. 1 bowl would sleep a working man. In 1942, 12 cents of salt pork and 3 cents of beans fed 1 adult for 2 full suppers. Today, under $3. The A&P chain grocers of the 1950s stopped stocking salt pork in most stores, replaced it with pre-portioned bacon 4 times the price, and cut the frugal cook off from the cheapest protein on the shelf. North Carolina State 2019 confirmed salt pork carries less sodium per rendered spoonful than most modern deli meats. They told you it was peasant food. Fine. Believe that if you want. Pork, beans, water. Supper for 2 nights. Number 12 is the pot Netty Barnes cooked in the cold open. Number 12, ham bone and soup beans. A leftover ham bone dropped into a pot of soaked pinto beans, water, and onion, a bay leaf if you had it, simmered 4 hours until the bone gave up everything. Thick, smoky, soul heavy. In 1932, 3 cents of dried beans, a bone the butcher gave away, 1 onion, $2.40 fed a family of 9 for a week, per the Harlan County Wife's ledger. So low today, under $2. Bone-in ham disappeared from most American supermarkets in the 1980s as boneless spiral hams took over. The industry could not sell you a bone. United States Department of Agriculture Extension 2020 confirmed dry beans are the single highest nutrient per dollar food in the American grocery. Netty Barnes knew that 90 years ago. A bone, a bag of beans, a week of suppers. Number 11 is what General Mills replaced in 1969. Number 11, beef hash pot. Whatever leftover cooked beef you had, chopped fine, 1 diced cold potato, 1 chopped onion, all pressed into a hot greased skillet and left alone until the bottom got crusty brown. Flipped in sections, salted, eaten straight from the pan. In 1968, leftover Sunday roast plus a potato plus an onion, near free the second night. So low today, under $3 if you buy a small cut. In 1969, General Mills launched Hamburger Helper and sold American cooks on the idea that plain hash was too much thinking. It was 30 seconds of thinking. Eli wrote this in the Journal in '61. He said, "The crust is the whole point. Do not stir it. Let it be. Meat, potato, onion, crust. Done." Number 10 is what Campbell's built an empire on. 3rd pattern break, and here is the reframe. This is not what did we lose. This is who got paid when we stopped cooking, and how do I take it back this week? And you can, 1 pot at a time. Number 6 is close. Number 3 is closer. Stay with me. Number 3 is the one they worked hardest to make you forget. Number 10, milk gravy on anything. A spoon of grease, a spoon of flour cooked into a paste in the same pot you just cooked meat in, a cup of meat whisked in slow, salt and pepper. poured over biscuits, potatoes, toast, cornbread, or straight into a bowl if the day had been hard. In 1940, under 5 cents to make a whole gravy, that stretched any supper. Today, under $1. In 1955, Campbell's launched the Cream of Mushroom Cookbook campaign and taught 2 generations of Americans that gravy came from a can. Real milk gravy is 3 ingredients and 8 minutes. The can has 30. Grease, flour, milk, gravy. Anywhere. Number 9 is the one Yale caught up to. Number 9, soup, beans, and cornbread. Yale confirmed. A pot of pinto beans soaked overnight, simmered with an onion and a chunk of fat back until the broth thickened on its own, ladled hot over a wedge of skillet cornbread with a slice of raw onion on the side. The whole meal on one plate. In 1938, 3 cents a pound of dried beans, a nickel of cornmeal, a family fed for a day on pennies. Solo today, under $2. The post-war convenience push branded soup beans as poor food, and by 1975 they were embarrassing to serve the company. Now, a food magazine charges $34 for a bowl of it in Asheville and calls it Appalachian cuisine. Yale School of Public Health confirmed in 2019 that legume-based protein diets outperform most modern protein powder recommendations on nearly every marker. Nobody banned soup beans. They just made sure you felt poor for eating them. Beans, cornbread, onion, the whole record. Number 8 is what Kraft killed at 19 cents a box. Number 8, real macaroni in milk and butter. A cup of dry macaroni boiled in a quart of milk instead of water, drained lightly. A chunk of butter stirred through. Pepper. Creamy, sweet, thick, ready in 15 minutes. In 1935, a nickel of macaroni, a dime of milk, a spoon of butter, 15 cents fed a family. Today, under $3 solo. In 1937, Kraft's Blue Box put its powdered cheese version on shelves at 19 cents to feed 4, and the real milk-cooked macaroni fell off American stoves inside a generation. The old man used to say the milk is the whole point. It is. Milk, noodles, butter, supper. Number 7 is what Swanson put in a tray in 1953. Number 7, skillet supper. Rice, egg, whatever vegetable. A cup of cooked rice from yesterday, a scrambled egg pushed through it, 1 chopped carrot or cabbage leaf or spring onion, a shake of soy or salt, hot pan, 3 minutes. Supper for 1, standing at the stove. In 1955, near free with a leftover cup of rice. Today, under $1.75. In 1953, Swanson launched the frozen television dinner tray at 98 cents, and the whole American idea of supper for 1 got locked to a foil rectangle for the next 70 years. They will tell you cooking for 1 is not worth the trouble. Fine. Believe that if you want. It is worth exactly the trouble of 1 egg and 1 skillet. Rice, egg, vegetable, 3 minutes, fed. Number 6 is the one the state actually got involved in. Number 6, water-glassed eggs in a crock. A 5-gallon crock in the pantry filled with pickling lime and water, and fresh, unwashed farm eggs slipped in gently 1 by 1. Preserved raw, whole, in the shell for 9 months to a year, ready for any pot at any time. In 1935, 6 cents a dozen when the hens laid heavy in spring, spread across the whole winter. Today, under $2 a dozen at a farm gate. You literally cannot legally buy water-glassed eggs out of most kitchens in America today. Food safety codes require commercial refrigeration and washing, and both would ruin the preservation. The old man kept a crock every year of his life. Here is the one part you do not skip. Eggs must be unwashed, fresh under 3 days, and the shells uncracked. If any of those 3 are wrong, do not use the method. Buy your eggs cold from the store instead. A crock, fresh eggs, winter suppers, legal in your kitchen, not in a shop. Number 5 is one they replaced with a can. Number 5, dried corn and hominy pot. A cup of dried whole hominy simmered slow for 2 hours with a pat of grease, an onion, salt, until the kernel split and swelled. Thick, chewy, deep corn flavored, one bowl held you all afternoon. In 1940, 3 cents of hominy, a nickel of grease and onion, 8 cents fed one person twice. Today, under $2. The canned food conglomerates, Del Monte and the like, took over the hominy shelf in the 1960s and turned a 9-month pantry staple into a rinsed can nobody knows what to do with. The whole hominy still exists. Look for it in a Mexican or Southern grocery. Cook it slow. Corn, water, thyme, supper. Number 4 is what a president froze in place. Number 4, cornmeal dumpling pot. A pot of any thin broth, bean, greens, chicken, brought to a hard simmer, cornmeal and water dumplings dropped in by the spoonful, lid clamped, 10 minutes, and the whole pot thickened into supper. In 1970, 4 cents of cornmeal turned any leftover broth into a meal for 2. Today, under $1. The Nixon wage price freeze of 1971 briefly locked staple prices, and cornmeal producers pivoted to instant boxed cornbread mix afterward to escape the ceiling. The dumpling pot never came back. Eli wrote this in the journal in '52. 2 lines. Meal and water. Drop and cover. That is it. Broth, dumplings, 10 minutes, supper. Number 3 is the one you were warned about. 4th and last pattern break. Neighbor. We're in the deep water now. Number 3 earned its teaser. Most folks under 40 will not touch this, and every one of their great-grandmothers ate it twice a week, and they were healthier for it than we are. Number 3, souse and broth pot. A hog's head, feet, and hocks simmered all day with vinegar, salt, pepper, and pickling spice until every scrap of meat fell off, pulled, chopped fine, poured back with its own broth into a mold to set. Sliced cold, eaten on cornbread, 1 pot fed a family a week. In 1938, an entire hog's head cost 20 cents from the butcher. Today, if you can find one, under $5 for a week of meals. The post-war American squeamishness campaign, driven by boxed and packaged meat marketers, pushed offal and head cuts out of the American grocery by 1970, and a whole cheap protein disappeared. I will be straight with you, friend. Nobody ate souse because it tasted like candy. They ate it because you do not waste a hog. Done right, it fed folks clear through February. Safety line. This involves long cooking of meat to safe internal temperature. If you have never done it, watch someone who has, or start with a butcher's already made head cheese. A head, a pot, a week, no waste. Number 2 is what she ate for breakfast. Number 2, bone broth morning pot. Any leftover bones, chicken, beef, ham, dropped in a pot with cold water, a splash of vinegar to pull the minerals out, 1 onion, simmered 8 to 24 hours on the back of the stove, strained, salted, sipped hot from a mug at daybreak. Free. The bones were already yours. A 1-cup mug of it hot is a whole meal on a cold morning. The bones in the meat aisle emptied out through the 1990s as boneless everything took over, and a supper starter that had been free became a $9 cup at a smoothie counter. Weston A. Price Foundation assayed traditional long-simmered bone broth in 2015 and confirmed a mineral density the powdered stock cubes cannot touch. She poured a gallon of it a week for pennies. They will sell you 8 ounces for $9. Bones, water, time, medicine, free. And now, number 1, which is not a pot. Number 1 is not a dish, friend. Number 1 is the answer. Number 1 is the whole lost competence of feeding yourself, alone, from a shelf of 4 dry ingredients and 1 iron pot, needing no store, no box, no tray, no packet, and no permission. Every single supper we just counted down was pointing at this one truth. Netty Barnes was not poor in that cabin in 1934. She was fed. She was free. She was beholden to no store and no company and no chain. 87 cents was not a hardship budget. It was a competence budget. It bought her a week of hot, handmade, one-pot suppers eaten by lantern light at a set table, and she died in her own bed at 89, still cooking on that same coal stove, still writing recipes down for a granddaughter who kept them, and the granddaughter's grandson has one of them in a journal on the shelf behind me right now. They did not take the pot away from her. They took the knowing away from her daughters and her granddaughters, because there was no money in you knowing. The knowing is what is coming back tonight on your stove, in your pot, for one person eating alone. That is number 1. That is the whole record. Now let me be honest with you before we close. I am not selling you fear. I am not telling you the grid is going down or that the world is ending. It is not. And I am not your doctor. Some of these pots the health department eyes sideways, and I have told you where the lines are. Cook inside them. Pick one. Just one. Not all 25. One this week on your stove. If you are alone tonight and the budget is thin, here is where I would start. Buy a 1-pound bag of pinto beans for $1.60. Buy a yellow onion for 50 cents. Ask the butcher for a ham bone. Half the time they will hand it to you. Soak the beans overnight in the sink. Cook them Sunday. Eat off that pot 4 days. Bake 1 pan of cornbread in a cast iron skillet. That is the whole week, under $5. I put up a crock of soup beans and a pan of cornbread myself this week, the way Eli wrote it down in 38. 3 cents a pound of beans in his hand, near $2 a pound in mine, and it still fed me 4 suppers for under $6. It worked. It always works. Tell me down below, neighbor, did your grandmother make any of these 25? What did she cook alone at her table that nobody makes anymore? The one that gets the most comments is the one I count down next. Your grandmother cooked every one of these pots. She cooked them alone some nights too, at a small table under a single light. Somebody just did not get the chance to pass them down to you. Now they are yours again. A whole table's worth of knowing, one supper at a time, and now you are one of the keepers. Next time we are pulling out the 2-cent pantry staple that fed a whole holler through the winter of 1936. The one the chain grocers made sure you would forget was ever on the shelf, sitting right next to the flour, cheaper than dirt, and every grandmother on this ridge kept a 5-pound sack of it in the cupboard. I know the year. I know the company that killed it. I have the pot on the stove already. Subscribe if you have not. Not for me, so the next old pot finds you the day it goes up. This is the mission, one kitchen at a time. Keep the old ways. They kept up.